Hi, everybody. Hi, everybody. Welcome to make sure we're rolling here. I think we're rolling. All right. Welcome, everyone, to Quarantine Concert Series live with Arturo O'Farrill. We have started this series to feature incredible artists, and we're all living through a very difficult time in our country. And because we can't go out because we're living and practicing social distancing, unfortunately, a lot of the people who are experiencing the brunt of this is are musicians and artists. And as you've seen, all these concerts have been canceled, all these gigs have been canceled, and it's really a difficult time. And the creative economy brings in so much, resources and capital to every city. And so I started this 14 concert series last night. We featured my dear friend Emilia Soja, and tonight we're featuring my dear friend as well, long-lasting friend Arturo O'Farrill, and he has started through his nonprofit organization, which is called the Afro Latin Jazz Alliance. He started a fund, an artist emergency fund, which will benefit artists in New York, and we'll get into it and talk about it. But part of this series is featuring incredible artists. And Arturo and I met, I don't know, maybe over 15 years ago when he came and led a master class when I was in college. And I asked him out for lunch, and we started our co-conspiracy then. And we've done maybe like 5 or 6 albums. Our last album was called Fandango with the Wall, and we'll talk about that. And we have a forthcoming album coming out soon as well. So I just wanted to say hello to Arturo. Arturo, are you there?
I'm here, Kabir. How are you, sir?
I'm great. I'm great. I'm glad you're here with us today. And who's with you right there? Is that Adam?
This is the famous trumpeter, Adam O'Farrill, who is seated by my side, and we're both in quarantine.
Awesome. You guys are in Los Angeles, right?
Yeah, we're in Los Angeles.
We've got Ellie in the house.
Adam was in Europe last week, and he came scurrying back when the flights were canceled, and all kinds of mayhem was breaking out here. So Adam came back, and of course he has had tons of gigs canceled, as have I, and have so many throughout the on the art world.
Yeah. Hey, is that just so I'm clear, is that a piano you have down there? Or is that, you making me a ham sandwich? What's going on down there?
Oh, do you want coffee with that? Hash browns?
I love the hash browns.
It's California, after all.
All right. Well, look, why don't you, what are you going to start off playing with?
Well, we recently weathered the loss of one of the greats. McCoy Tyner left us not too long ago. And so Adam and I thought we'd play a piece that the solo that McCoy Tyner takes on Soul Live is inscribed in my heart for the rest of my life. So we'd like to play Soul Live by Mal Wall.
All right.
Thank you.
Wow, that was beautiful, man. Thank you for sharing that meditation. Did you get a chance to meet McCoy Tyner?
I did. I was
What was that like?
I met him several times, and the thing that I walked away with was what a kind and gentle person he was. Like that's something that really spoke to me about him because a lot of historians and essayists and journalists will remember his the chordal system and his sophistication as a harmonist and the dreams of jazz pianists we left inspired and changed forever. But I think all of that came from his humanity. And every time I met McCoy, I met a gentle, sweet spirit. And I think
Mhm.
that profoundly, I mean, it was from his soul that so that's a lesson that forever seared inside my lesson.
Yeah. Who are some of your great inspiration? You've had such a storied career, and you're not only an artist, you're a composer, you're an arranger. Who are some of the inspirations you've had growing up artistically?
Two very powerful entities entered my life very early on. Of course, my father, Chico O'Farrill. His work I admire so much, not because of so much of the genius of his composing and arranging skills, because he had that in drove, but also because he was a person who never took an assignment as an opportunity to skate. My father pushed the envelope. If he had a jingle for American Airlines for the Latino market, he would use Ruben Blades
Hmm.
or charanga based on real, authentic Cuban rhythms. He took that same dedication, progression, and vision when he got the commission to write a piece for St. Patrick's Cathedral, which he did with Dizzy Gillespie called Oro Incienso Vida. And in that piece he was used tone rows and synthesizers and all kinds of contemporary compositional techniques. My father was never one to phone it in. The other person who profoundly impressed me like was the great American jazz composer and NEA jazz master Carl Bley, whom I had the privilege of beginning my career with. She discovered me playing for beers in a bar in the middle of upstate New York and put me on the world's stage. Put me literally, I was playing 1 minute in Willow, New York at Billy Tripp's bar. The next thing I knew, I was at the Berlin Jazz Festival.
Wow.
A tremendous, tremendous chance for me. And I spent 3 years consistently watching her raise the bar for artistic integrity. Carla leaves no stone unturned when it comes to finding her voice and using it at its powerful. Doesn't shy away from any challenges, and that kind of artistic integrity is amazing. And I'm very grateful to see people who believe so strongly in their statement that even when it may be disastrous for their career, they will present something important.
Yeah. I have a question for both of you before we start the next song. If you're stuck on a desert island, what are the three jazz recordings you want to be stuck with? Um, I'm going to go first to Adam with this. I'm going to put you on the spot, Adam. What are your top three jazz recordings? You're going to be stuck on an island with just some coconut water and three jazz albums. What are your albums?
Um, First one that comes to mind is 40 Best, Miles Davis. Um, man,
That's a good one.
yeah.
It's a great one.
Um, Ahmad Jamal live at the Alhambra. Uh,
That's a great one.
Another one. One more. I like the occupation live Chicago. I don't know if it's the exact name of the album.
Got it. Arturo, your top three?
Wow.
Sorry. Just another 14 Best, Oscar Peterson. So two
Also a
more.
great one. All right.
First one one that comes to mind for me is Chick Corea's "Now He Sings, Now He Sobs." Then Ornette Coleman's "Have Come." Then I
Huh.
think the other one that really speaks to my mind is a record that Mingus did, and I don't know the exact title, but Live at the Jazz Workshop with Ed Curson and and Danny Richmond and Eric Dolphy.
Oh, Charles.
Charles Mingus presents Charles Mingus, and it's live session that he does, and those three albums, those sense of identity.
Yeah. Well, if I was stuck on an island, and I often am stuck on an island of Manhattan, and if there's three albums I'm going to have with me, there's this great artist I know, and his last release, or the one before that, was called Familia. It's a great album. It's a tribute to some great Afro Latin all-star musicians. I mean, one that's often overlooked in the opus is 40 Acres in a Burrow. I thought that was a fantastic release. Doesn't get enough limelight. And then obviously The Offense of the Drum was a great collaboration as well. So I just hope that I hope 100 years from now, they get their recognition that they never did when they first came out. No, I'm kidding. They did great. These are all Arturo's albums, and they're awesome. And I love working with you on them.
I have to thank you for allowing me to make Offense of the Drum, which is,
That was a fun one.
in my opinion, that's the greatest work I've ever done. You gave so much artistic and spiritual direction to that album. I'm very grateful. You gave me the wings to fly with that.
Yeah, man, changed my life. It really inspired me to get into music production. All right, what's next? What are we gonna hear from next? And after this song, I want to talk a little bit about the initiative you've started.
Sure.
So, what are you playing now?
You mentioned Carla Bley, and she's such a powerful influence. We're going to play a Carla Bley composition called "Walking Battery Woman."
I'm just reading. I mean, I'm gonna read you some of the comments. So, first of all, before you start, we got a Ola from Sonia de los Santos who's performing tomorrow. Everyone say hi to Sonia. And also want to say what's up to Camilo, who helped us set up this session. He's a lifesaver, but you still have to speak louder. And then I have a Rosario saying that we can't hear Adam or Arturo's voices. Can you speak more loudly?
I will speak louder.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. All right, Rosario, we took care of you. All right, please go for it, Maestro. Bravo. Bravo. You just take a bow, man. Bravo.
But I'm louder too, and I'm sorry. We don't have them. I just my computer's all the way over there.
Get closer to the computer.
That's cool. Hey, by the way, do you practice bowing etiquette in the Afro Latin Jazz Orchestra? I used to like have to learn how to bow, like, after a song.
Yeah, no,
You ever-
I never. We do bow. Some folks are better at it than others, but I think the trick is to look at the audience. I think that's really important to acknowledge.
Can you demonstrate a good bow? What's like the perfect bow after a show?
My favorite pianist of all time was Alicia de la Roca, the famous classical Spanish pianist, and she was really, really petite. But she would always bow to the audience and take a deep bow. And so I was very touched by that. I also was really influenced, believe it or not, by John Faddis. I think he's an extraordinary performer and has a wonderful rapport with people. And I learned a lot about that.
I hear you. Cool. That was brilliant, beautiful, and Adam, so well performed. I'm so appreciative that you guys are here. All right, so tell me, Arturo, what is the Afro Latin Jazz Alliance Emergency Fund for Musicians? What is it?
Well, about a week ago, the Afro Latin Jazz Orchestra had performances throughout the world. We were scheduled to perform at San Diego Symphony Hall. We were scheduled to perform at San Diego Symphony Hall. We were scheduled to perform at the Miller Theater. We were scheduled to perform. We had a ton of performances, and this week we have none. Now, it's okay to me, to some degree, that this happened because of this horrible pandemic, but I also worry about the resultant fallout on the musicians and the people who work with musicians, dancers, singers, waiters, waitresses, people who support our industry have all of a sudden found themselves out of work in a financially distressed time to begin with. And so when I watched my fellow musicians, it was a real blow for them to lose months and months of work. And so I went about asking folks and friends and putting together a fund that the Afro Latin Jazz Alliance will administrate, called the Emergency Artists Fund, that musicians and our assorted family members can apply for help. No questions asked. We just want to be able to support those people who all of a sudden will find themselves getting perilously close to not being able to pay their rent, to not being able to get medication, not being able to feed their families. This event freaked me out so much because for my family, I love my musicians. I love the people I work with. I love my administration. And I love the people that I work with at Birdland for 25 years. Some of the people like James Foley, Johnny Valenti, people I've known and lived with who have been with me through my father's death, the birth of my children, my mother's death, my family. So it freaked me out that all of a sudden we don't have contracts, we don't have paychecks. For the most part, most of us live from gig to gig to gig. It just, I'm so terrified that so many of the people I love will just not make it, will somehow fall through the cracks, and I don't know how they're going to survive. I don't understand it. So I went and group of friends put together a little bit of funding so that we can help people begin to alleviate some of that stress. Because I know, on top of the fear of this coronavirus, is the fear of this financial distress and the fear of being here now. It's a terrifying time in human history, and I want to be able to do this. Everything that I've had, that I've built, a lot of it with you. Together, we've built a lot, and so I want to be able to put that at the disposal of friends and family.
How can people contribute to the fund?
They can go to afrolatinjazz.org/about our work in COVID-19, or they can just look at the afrolatinjazz.org website. Afrolatinjazz.org is where you'll find information not only about what the Afro Latin Jazz Orchestra and Alliance is doing, but how directly they're impacting the lives of performing by the time of the
Okay, and who administers the fund?
The fund is administered to by senior staff members at the Afro Latin Jazz Alliance, which, by the way, has a AAA rating. This year we have funding from the Ford Foundation, the Mellon Foundation, the Doris Duke Charitable Organization gave us a leadership grant. So our fiscal transparency is people know that the money that we raise for this will go to musicians. That's really important because we don't have a high administrative overhead. We don't have a facility. We don't have a building. We have just the people who dedicated their lives to serving this art. And so our funders know that we're committed. We're absolutely committed to executing on every level what we promised to execute.
Awesome. We're getting a lot of great comments on this. Samuel Torres, you know Samuel Torres, the great percussionist.
I love Samuel Torres. Man, what a great composer, percussionist. Thank you, Samuel. Thank you.
He says this is great. And then Fawn Thompson says hello, checking in from the Atlanta metro area. I'm in Atlanta right now, so Atlanta in the house, 404, what's up? Love the music and conversation. And Arturo looks so handsome tonight. Look at that.
Yeah. Who said that?
I don't know. You're getting some anonymous fan mail here.
Wow.
So yeah. So let's play another piece. What are you gonna play next? And I want to see your hands. You know, I know Camila's gonna freak out at us, but I want to see your hands. Yeah, show me your hands when you play. I'm not finished. And the crowd goes wild.
Hey! Bottom of the ninth, the Yankees are back. Oh!
Hey, that was great. Blue Monk.
Yeah,
That was the blues to Blue Monks. That was awesome.
yeah.
Yeah, I can tell you guys have been feeling it. But you know how you get rid of the blues? You play the blues to get rid of the blues.
That's true.
That's some Stanley Crouch right there. There's some Alvin Murray right there. Um, so I want to everyone who's watching, if you have any questions or comments, please put it in the field, and I'll ask Arturo for you. And right now, everyone's sort of quarantined and social distancing, so we're trying to. I started this concert series to feature artists and to provide gigs to artists. And Arturo started this incredible fund called the Afro Latin Jazz Alliance Emergency Fund. You can donate to it. Check out the link. You'll see it below, afrolatinjazz.org, or just go there and you can follow the links there. And Arturo, while I have you, I want to just talk to you about a couple things. First, why don't you talk us through Fandango at the Wall, the album we just put out, or 2018 we put it out. We have this incredible documentary that we've been working on. Maybe you can explain what the documentary is about. And Varda, our terrific director, she's just joined, and she says hi, Arturo. So hi, Varda.
Hi, Varda.
So why don't you share a little bit about the film and how this was sort of a new adventure for all of us making a documentary?
One of my board members forwarded me an article from the New York Times about a gentle wizard by the name of Jorge Francisco Castillo, who began a yearly festival at the border wall between San Diego and Tijuana, in which he and his friends got together to celebrate unity right through the mesh and the fence. And it struck me as the most elegant activism I'd ever heard of in my life, to actually use the tools of oppression, to use the tools of separation to unify us. And so I remember showing this to you, Kabir, when we were in Las Vegas. And we both looked at each other and said, wow, that's our next project. And we began to talk to, you looked up Jorge and found where he was retired from and found him in Tijuana. We met Varda and we started working together on this incredible journey that brought close to 150 people to the border of San Diego and Tijuana to celebrate life, to celebrate unity, to celebrate community and consciousness at the border, separated by fencing. It was mind-blowing. And Varda was there with her incredible crew, Matt, and all the folks that worked for her, and captured this miracle of activism and elegance and generosity of the spirit. And I say generosity because the folks that are featured in this documentary are some of the most talented and generous people I've ever met. Ramon, Patricio, Tacho, these are folks who make their instruments, who play son jarocho music, and their lives are liberated because of this wonderful thing that they do. And the thing that strikes me as magic is that they share this with us freely. They invite us in the documentary, they invite us into their homes. They talk about very close personal things that are happening in their lives, including the wall, including migration, including all kinds of issues. And you get a close up front row seat at what happens when real humanity meets oppression and separation.
That's a great way of putting it. Awesome way of putting it. What were some of the big challenges in making the film?
For me, the biggest
Yeah.
was just kind of, I always feel when I'm in the midst of a concert or a recording session, or for instance in Fandango, I always feel like I have 1,000 forces pulling at me. And I think the biggest challenge for me is to recognize that I was not the center of the universe, but someone in this universe to kind of help everyone come together. And that's a wonderful lesson to learn, because it teaches us that we reference everything by how we experience something. It's a miserable small world. But when you reference yourself around all the needs of the many people that are in your life, if you reference yourself against the backdrop of humanity that is much bigger than you are, then you yourself are, your meaning and your purpose is much larger. And so for me, that was an incredible experience, an incredible learning.
Yeah, and I should say that the cancellations and the quarantine and social distancing that's going on has put creative people of all types under challenge. So many film festivals have been canceled and postponed. Our Fandango film, we were looking forward to premiering it at some film festivals, but that's been postponed. And I just saw today there's been a coalition of really well-known artists, Dave Matthews, Sheryl Crow. They've written a letter to Congress and they've said, look, the whole entertainment industry is being sort of wiped out, the theatrical industry, the concert industry. And I think musicians and artists need a bailout. And this letter is saying, akin to what the airlines are going to get, akin to what a lot of these industries are going to get, we may be seeing one of the biggest recessions, if not worse, for the next few months, and people are projecting longer than that. So the creative community, we really have to come together, and I think we are, and this concert series is an effort to do that. And it was a really special thing making the film, and we're at the point now where we can't really release it, we can't really distribute it right now. So everything's really on pause, and I think maybe, what can we learn from this pause, Arturo? Like, I think culturally and societally, like, what's the good, if there can be any good that comes from this? What's the silver lining, and what's the way to look at this?
Well, I mean, I don't want to get political, and I won't, but I want to say that what we've learned is that there is a great divide in this nation. That you can lower the interest rate and you can encourage all kinds of governmental spending, but it doesn't really reach some of the poorest and most hardworking, lowest rungs of the economic ladder. So the people that really will be hurt in this moment are not just folks whose health is compromised by the virus, but in a very real sense, we've discovered this teeming, huge underground gig economy of Uber drivers and musicians and freelancers and waiters and waitresses, and they don't have a safety net. And no one's really bothered to think about that group of people. No one that I've known in governance has really stood up for that group of people. We stand up for industry. We stand up for manufacturing jobs. We stand up for all kinds of needs in this nation. But here we are. We are the artists. We give our lives to make the life that we live bearable. And yet, this is a moment in history where I think we're going to suffer a lot. And it is precisely because we float under the radar. And so I think the silver lining, if such a thing can even be conceived of, is that we will become a nation that's aware of a stratification in our socioeconomic picture that is very, very, very clear to me.
Totally. Yeah, and it's not just here in the US, it's all over the world. We have Ellen DeSol writing from Brazil. She says, you're great, guys. Thanks for the evening with jazz from our lockdown in Brazil. Brazil's not a bad place to be locked down. Of course, it depends where you are in Brazil. But have you been to Brazil, Arturo?
No, I've not been to Brazil. This is one of the places I've been dying to go to. So if you have someone on there who wants to invite me.
Ellen, let's hook this up. We're much better in person. When this quarantine is lifted, we would love to come to Rio and perform for you live, right? I'm speaking for Arturo. I have not checked with Arturo.
I'm pretty good with this. I'm pretty good with this idea, Kabir.
Sign here. Sign here. All right. Oh, good. Right on the kitchen counter. All right. Maybe let's do one more. And then again, while we're here, we're promoting the Afro Latin Jazz Alliance Emergency Fund. So if you guys have a few dollars you can chip in, please go to the link that's on this post and make a contribution. Money goes to artists in the New York City area that are going through a really hard time right now. So we really appreciate your generosity. And what song are you going to play for us from behind the kitchen counter?
Well, since we've been speaking a little bit about the Fandango project, Adam arranged a Yucatan folk song called El Marquesh. And so we dedicate this to the great Jorge Francisco Castillo, who is a visionary that I love so much and who I'm so inspired by on a daily, day-to-day basis. So this is El Marquesh, which in English means El Marquesh.
Dude, that was awesome. It was dynamic, it was fast, and the ending was completely unexpected, and I was unprepared for it. You had me at the edge of my seat because I was about to get something to drink, but actually, that was amazing.
Thank you, Kabir. Thank you very much.
Not finished. Let me know when it gets uncomfortable. You can take applause all day. How much is too much applause? Have you ever? What's the show you got the most applause ever?
I don't know.
Oh, you don't know? It just keeps on going.
No, I think when people really appreciate, I learn this every week at Birdland. I learn this even more at Birdland than I do in command performances, because when you are in some concert hall in some place, people have paid a lot of money and they're there, they're going to enjoy themselves, and it's a wonderful thing. But at Birdland, we renew and rediscover every week how wonderful it is to perform for people. People come up to me at Birdland and say, "This is our 25th anniversary. We celebrated every single one of them with you." People come up to me at Birdland and say, we come to New York once a year from Singapore, and every time we do, we come to you. So in a way, that extended applause that you speak of is a lifelong thing that happens, and people appreciate what you do, and it really behooves you to continue to do it with all your heart, with all your soul, and with all your might. And when you see people lives genuinely touched by what you do, there's nothing more humbling. And so there's an ego. It's what we do. It's what you do. It's what Adam does. It's what we do.
Totally, totally. Well said, Arturo. You have a new release coming up. Tell me about the new release. It's very exciting. You're very, this word is often used. I get this word a lot, the word prolific, and I tend to like not like it because people are like, oh, you're so prolific. Here comes another album, and I think that maybe people don't understand. That's the creator mentality, to keep putting things out and to keep on producing. So when I say prolific, I mean it in a good way. You're a prolific artist, and you put out these incredible projects. So tell me about your next project, what it's about, where you came up with the idea, and where can people find it?
Well, I was always a big fan of Dr. Cornel West. I mean, being a fan is kind of a really minimal way of describing the effect that Dr. Cornel West has on me and on so many, many, many people. And I was watching him at a rally in Riverside Church, and he began to speak, and I literally saw light and diagrams coming out from the top of his head. And I know you think that's crazy, but people call it synesthesia. And I knew that I had to write something to capture this man's music as he spoke. And so I convinced Dr. West to be able to perform with us a piece that I wrote based on his speech in Seattle Town Hall on his book, Black Prophetic Fire, which is based on the 4 questions that W.E.B. Du Bois poses in his book, Souls of Black Folk. And so that's one of the pieces. It's called 4 Questions, featuring the incredible Dr. Cornel West. And we also have a piece on there that has been recorded with a full choir, a 30-voice choir. The thing that's unusual to me about this record is that, yes, I'm prolific, but I often spend a lot of my prolificness, if you will, shining the light on other folks and their contributions. So this is the first time I've ever released an album with all my compositions, and I feel very, very personally vulnerable for this reason, but also super excited that I have given away everything I have. So I hope that people love this album. I hope that people love the messaging in it, because it's all about global liberation, if you will. It's about it's about the way that Cornel West speaks to he holds our feet to the fire and reminds us that as long as one suffers, all of us are diminished. And I find that really compelling. We have a world in which no one needs to go hungry. No one needs to suffer. We have enough resources for every human being on this planet to have their needs met. And it's an absolute crime against humanity. There are people starving, there are people hungry, and there are people thirsty, and there are people who have no education and have no clothes. And so Cornell really reminds us that as long as one suffers, we're all diminished. And I think that's an important part of this record.
Thank you for sharing. And they can find it. The release is coming up. It's like in a couple weeks, I think, and you can find it on Spotify and Amazon and all that set. Make sure to get it delivered. The physical copy is delivered. You know, bathe it in Purell first, and then pop it into your to your CD players.
Make sure you Lysol the jewel case for sure.
Exactly. So again, hey guys, thanks everyone for watching. I want to keep these, under an hour so we let people get back to their, cleaning. And I want to say thanks for joining, Arturo. I really appreciate it. I've known you for so long, Adam. You guys are like family to me. And we've worked on so many projects together, and I wanted to kick off this series with you as one of the first artists. Again, just the bullet points. Arturo O'Farrill, he started an Afro Latin Jazz Alliance emergency fund for musicians. You can find the link below. Please, chip in what you can. The money is going to artists in need. And about this series, the Quarantine Concert Series, I'm hosting these concerts every night at 10 p.m. because my parents are upstairs and I don't want to disturb them during the day. And so they need I want to, everyone's super quiet right now. So if you want to play on the show, some of these are paid gigs. We're trying to make sure the gigs are flowing for the artists. Hit me up on Instagram or Facebook, and let's talk about it. Tomorrow is Sonia de los Santos. What do you think about Sonia's music, Arturo?
She's a wonderful artist. She's very dedicated to so many things, young people and Mexican music, and she's a wonderful artist.
Yeah, her album Alegria was phenomenal. But I think that's it, man. Everyone, see you online.
Wait, come here.
Yeah.
Oh, I just want to thank you for this. Is an incredible service that you're providing to give us a platform when so many opportunities have disappeared. And so I want to, on behalf of all the musicians I know, I really want to thank you for hosting this series and for caring about us and for being an advocate for the arts for so many years.
Thank you, my brother. I will give you this pocket Purell to take with you and protect you.
Out here in LA, man.
I appreciate it. God bless you, man. We'll talk.